So, welcome to yet another episode of What's Up Startup. I am Amal Nima, and today we have Mr. Arunabh Sinha, founder of India's largest laundry chain and the fastest growing franchisee brand in the history of country, UClean. He is an IIT Bombay alumni. Prior to this, he was heading the entire North India operations for Treebo Hotels, which is the fastest growing startup in the budget hotel space in the country. In the last 4 years, he has made a contribution in the India entry of several international brands to the franchising route, including American burger chains Carl's Jr. and Fatburger, leading franchisee luxury brand Longchamp, and many more. He also got featured in the Entrepreneur India's 2018 class of 35 under 35. So on behalf of entire team of entrepreneurship cell of Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, we welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Amal. Thank you so much for the very warm welcome. And a very happy new year to you and to the entire team at the entrepreneurship cell of Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management. Thank you so much for having me on this platform and look forward to an engaging conversation for the next 40-45 minutes.
Yes, sir. Happy New Year to you too. So without further ado, let's begin with questions.
Sure.
Right. So, sir, my first question to you is basically what is the story of your life? How did you get to starting up UClean?
Okay, so I've come from a small city, so born and brought up in a city called Jamshedpur, which is popularly known as the Tata Nagar because of the presence of Tata Steel. Did my schooling there, went to college, went to IIT Bombay for my engineering, and then started working with a data analytics company. Worked there for a couple of years and also worked in a bit in the NGO space of India just to get a flavor of things. And then after 2 years of WorkX, what I understood was that there is a very big gap in the market when it comes to India market entry of international brands and Indian brands going international. So with that background in mind, I started a company called Frank Global in 2011. And Frank Global basically specialized in helping international brands enter into India. So we helped quite a few international chains like the burger brands, Carl's Jr., Fatburger, the French luxury handbags company Longchamp, and several other brands entering India by finding them the right partner. So what we used to do was we helped them understand the market dynamics in India, understand the competition, and then help them find the right partner. And on the other hand, we also helped Indian brands expand internationally. So we worked with a lot of established apparel and food brands in India and took them to international markets, especially in the MENA region, which is the Middle East and North Africa, and also into some parts of Europe. So I ran that company, Frank Global, for almost 5 years. And then I actually sold it off to a much larger company called Franchise India. So Franchise India acquired Frank Global from me in 2015. And they have since then also built it into an amazing company. I quit Frank Global and I became the head of the North India business for a hotel chain called Treebo Hotels. Treebo today is India's second largest budget hotel chain after Oyo. And at Treebo, I was responsible for building the entire North India market. And the model on which Treebo works is that, as an example, you have a budget hotel and that hotel is not doing well for a variety of reasons. So you would typically partner with Treebo Hotels. And in return, Treebo would work on improving your sales and marketing. In return, Treebo would expect that you as a hotelier would focus on customer delight. So what I observed personally was that in the budget hotel industry, which is where you have the biggest challenge is laundry. So if you go to a website like which is the best place to compare hotels, to look at the hotel ratings, you will see that if you go to a budget hotel in India or even international for that matter, almost 60% of the escalations or complaints or poor ratings happen because of laundry. So either the bed sheet is dirty or the curtains are dirty or the towels are dirty, or say a guest gave out laundry and that laundry comes back dirty. So as a result of that, a lot of escalations used to happen. So since I was heading the business, I decided to find a viable solution, and a solution that can be extended to literally all the cities where Treebo is present. So when I started doing the market research, when I started talking to the service providers, two things stood out very clearly. One, that this market is very, very large in size. So companies like KPMG, companies like Deloitte were saying that the laundry industry in India is more than $50 billion in size, which is as big as the food processing or the restaurant industry. But the second thing that really stood out for me was that there was not a single organized player who was catering to multiple uh, areas within a city or even to multiple cities. So that's when I thought that there's a fantastic opportunity. The market is massive. It is controlled by your local dhobis. So in India, if you look at it, India has anywhere around 2 crore local dhobis. And they were the ones that were responsible for this, managing this $50 billion market. So that's when I felt that there's a fantastic opportunity. The market exists. I don't have to create a new market. I just need to win the market by providing good service, by providing quality service, and ensuring that I'm sticking to the turnaround time. So with that background, I left Treebo in October 2016 and I started UClean. So that has been the startup journey. We have been building UClean for now almost 4 years. And given my franchising background and the fact that I understood franchising pretty well, we have consciously taken the franchising route to build UClean, where we partner with like-minded, passionate entrepreneurs who are interested in the cleaning industry. So we bring them on board as franchisees. We handhold them, we train them, we enable them, equip them, and then they themselves as entrepreneurs run their own independent UClean in the neighborhood that they have invested in.
Okay, sir. So as you talked about that Indian market is dominated by local dhobis. So what means how it made a shift of mentality from local dhobis to a big platform such as UClean?
So see, the challenge with the local dhobi, and that challenge has always existed, is that there is absolute lack of transparency. आज जब local धोबी को कपड़े देते हो, तो the process that works is the local धोबी comes to your place, picks up your dirty clothes. 3-4 दिन के बाद he comes back and he gives you the clean clothes. Now in that 3 or 4 days, what has happened to your clothes, you have no visibility. So where are the clothes getting washed? Are they getting washed inside a washroom? Are they getting washed in a dhobi ghat? Are they getting washed by the side of a river? You have no visibility. Kind of chemicals that are being used, or the water that is being used, or overall, what is the process of handling the clothes? कपड़े को पत्थर पर पटक रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं, आपको कुछ नहीं पता. So problem is that this problem has always existed, but unfortunately, because you don't have a good supply, the only suppliers that existed was the laundry wala. So your local dhobi was the only option for you as a customer. So even if you didn't like your final output, even if you didn't like the lack of transparency, you would still give it to him because you don't have better options. So in that sense, I would say it was not very difficult. The overall business of laundry, if you look at it very closely, it's very hyper local in nature. So a consumer who is located within 2 or 3 kilometers of my store is the one who is going to use my service, because he can have a look at the store at any point in time. So the moment we started setting up the stores, we started realizing that consumers themselves started coming to us. मदर डेयरी के सामने लॉन्ड्री लगा दी, लोग दूध लेने आ रहे हैं सुबह में, तो उन लोगों ने देखा कि यार सामने में लॉन्ड्री खुल गई है, लेट्स गिव इट अ शॉट. So I would say some bit of hyper local marketing, newspaper inserts, pamphlets, setting up canopies worked. But at the end of the day, the consumers were also really fed up of the local dhobis, and they also wanted a better option.
Okay, sir, that is very interesting concept. So, sir, next question is that I read that UClean is the fastest brand to 200 franchisees, and also you are a key player in this franchisee route. So, that please let us know about particularly this domain, and if we want to proceed further in franchising, how can we go?
So, see, very honestly, whatever startup you're running, when you're looking at growth, there are multiple ways that you can grow your brand. And one of those growth path is franchising. Franchising would typically work for businesses that are hyper local in nature. So something where I can set up a store in every neighborhood. And that is why you would see that franchising is very heavy in the salon industry, because salon is a very high neighborhood local business where you can have a look salon or an affinity salon in almost every neighborhood of India. And typically businesses where you would want customers to come in. So as an example, I can people love to come to a UClean store. While they have an option to avail a pickup and drop service via our app, but they also have the option to walk down to the store, have a discussion with the store manager, and then give their clothes. So you would see that a lot of businesses, for them, the most ideal way to grow is franchising. So whether you look at the food industry, you look at the gyms and fitness chains industry, you look at salon industry, you look at the preschool industry, you would see all the market leaders in these industries are businesses that have done franchising. So for us also, franchising was a very logical way of building the brand, because the idea was that we want to be present in every possible neighborhood of India. And laundry by nature is that kind of a business that you can literally have a UClean in every possible neighborhood of India. So the only way to do that was to either start investing ourselves and setting up a UClean in every neighborhood of India. But then that process would have been very slow. You set up one neighborhood, then you move to the second, you move to the third, and it's an operationally intensive process. So whenever you enter a new neighborhood, you again focus on stabilizing your operations, making the business profitable. The second alternative was to franchise it out. So find passionate entrepreneurs who would be willing to invest their time, money, and energy in running their own UClean units. And then you train them, you enable them, you equip them, and they can then start running their own independent UCleans. So we've thought that this would be a better route, because you can train 100 franchisees at the same time, and they can start opening up their own independent UCleans in 100 different locations. And that is how the franchising story of UClean started.
Okay, sir, that's good. So, sir, you belong to tech background, and I have seen many people who belong to tech background and then they switch to entrepreneurship. So, sir, first question is that what made you to switch to consulting and then business, and also that what is the reason why people from tech switch to entrepreneurship and like other domains?
So I'll be honest here. One of the biggest drivers. So I come from the metallurgical engineering and material science background. I did my engineering in metallurgy and material science. And when I was graduating, I had a few offers, all campus placement offers. Couple of them from very recognized industrial companies, industrial behemoths like Tata Steel and SR. And these jobs were in the technical field. So I would become a part of their technical team and work in the plant and work on the iron and steel part of the plant. So become a proper engineer, something that I had been groomed for the last 4 or 5 years. The second option that I got was from a Pune and Chicago based analytics company, one of the largest companies in the world when it comes to big data analytics. And I chose the analytics company because obviously the salary that was on offer was almost double of what the Tata Steels and the SRs were offering. And I personally thought that being in Pune would be better off than being in Jamshedpur, while I myself hailed from Jamshedpur, but I wanted to go to a city which is much larger in size. So at that age and at that time, the money and the fact that I would be moving to a city like Pune over a city like Jamshedpur were the two major reasons why I decided to move away from metallurgy and get into consulting.
Okay, sir. So my next question is that you entered a business which is not at all common. So you must have done a great amount of research before entering. So, sir, how did you did the whole research part? Can you elaborate on it?
Sure. So in that sense, you're absolutely right. When I was running my first company, which is Frank Global, because we helped a lot of international brands enter into India, I used to travel a lot to Southeast Asia. your Malaysia, Indonesia, and Philippines in particular. And if you do a little bit of understanding of the culture and the economies of Southeast Asia, you would realize that Southeast Asia is very, very similar to India. So while as Indians, we continue to look at Europe, we want to look at US, want to understand what is happening there and try to emulate that in India. But if you look at the different markets very closely, you would realize that India mirrors the behavior of Southeast Asia more than any other part of the world. And the reason for that is behaviorally and culturally, we are very similar. So if you go to a city like Jakarta or if you go to a city like Manila, you would realize that they are very similar to India. And retail brands and service brands, which tend to do well in Southeast Asia, typically also do well in India. So because I traveled extensively to that part of the world between 2011 to 2015, I literally saw how laundromats had exploded. So if you went to, say, a city like Kuala Lumpur, or if you went to a city like Jakarta in 2010 or 11, you would see that there were hardly any laundromats. But if you go there today, you would see that between Jakarta and Kuala Lumpur alone, there are 5,000 laundry stores that are operating in the two cities. So I literally saw how people started becoming dependent on laundromats. There they call it the Dhobi. The Dhobi is called the Dhobi without the H. And how people were moving away from the Dhobi to these organized laundry chains. So I started getting interested in the laundry industry and bringing laundromats to India then itself. But I did not take a conscious decision. It was only when I was at Treebo Hotel and I did my own research and understood how large the market is and how unorganized it is and how there's a fantastic opportunity to organize the industry. That's when I took a conscious decision that it's going to be now or never. And there was also this fear that if I don't do it today, somebody else will do it 2 years or 3 years later, and I will repent it then. So I would say the biggest driving factor was the fear that if I don't do it right now, somebody else will do it a couple of years later, and I would be repenting then.
Okay, sir. So next question is, so as we know that every business has its own challenges, so what are the key problems you face in this kind of unique business?
So I would say the problems continue to exist. The only thing that happens, and this I would, because I have significant amount of startup experience, so I would say basis all the startup experience that I have, the problems would continue to exist. The nature of problems would change depending on how young or how old your startup is. The magnitude of the problem would also continue to change depending on how young or how old your startup is. So when we started off with UClean, the first thing was that obviously, like with every other business, we had zero funds at hand. So paise the nahi, whatever little I had earned at Treebo Hotels, that was my bank reserve. And fortunately for me, my wife was working. She was heading digital marketing at HCL. So she said that, and that was also one of the reasons, she said that you should go ahead and take a leap of faith. I am there. I'll make sure that we are getting daily bread on our table. I'll continue to work. So that also gave me a lot of push and encouragement to get into entrepreneurship for the second time. And when we started, the first challenge was that we did not have investors. So what I did was I reached out to a lot of investors and requested them to invest in the first couple of stores for UClean. I had a lot of network in the past from my experience at Frank Global. So I reached out to them, tried to convince them about the idea, tried to convince them to invest in the first outlet of UClean. And what I realized was that while everybody liked the idea, everybody realized that it's a novel idea, it can work well, but nobody was willing to take the first bet. So after about 60 rejections, I changed the strategy and I started meeting existing dry cleaners in Delhi NCR. And if you look at the dry cleaning business, you would realize that dry cleaning business used to be very, very large till about 20 years back. And now the business is gradually shrinking and it is being taken up by the laundry industry. So dry cleaning is where you don't use water. Laundry is where you use your typical water, detergent and wash the clothes. So uska ek biggest reason kya hai ki if you look at things 20 years back, we used to wear a lot of ethnic clothes. Like my mother, she has never worn anything except a sari. वो रात दिन सिर्फ साड़ी पहनती है. But if I talk about my wife, she only wears casuals. Sari for her would be a once a year or twice a year special occasion when she actually dons the sari. So, जो साड़ी वाला business है, that is can only be dry clean. But if you talk about the casuals, the kind of clothes like my wife wears, these are very casual clothes that can only be laundered. So even the dry cleaners are realizing that बड़े बड़े setups लगाए हुए हैं गुड़गांव में, दिल्ली में, नोएडा में, and they are struggling because they were always of the mindset that dry cleaning will continue and laundry will never become big. So I reached out to a lot of dry cleaners, and while quite a few of them agreed that the dry cleaning business is shrinking, but nobody wanted to again take bet on the laundry. But finally, I was able to convince a relatively larger sized dry clean player in Delhi NCR who had multiple outlets between Delhi and Gurgaon to convert two of his existing outlets into a UClean store. He agreed to do all the investment in terms of the equipment, in terms of fabrication of the store, all the technical work required. But what he also said was that I would not be operating the store. So we started what I call the franchisee invested company operated model. So he made all the investments. We set up the UClean stores. Once the stores were ready, we took over the operations. We started running the stores. All the operating expenses were managed by us, and we started giving him a fixed return on the investment that he had made. And that is how UClean started. So the first challenge that we had was lack of money. And fortunately, through these rejections and multiple meetings, we were able to convince someone to upfront the initial investment required in setting up the first couple of stores. Then as we started expanding, obviously the challenges changed. So laundry, if you look at it, is a very blue collar kind of a business. You will have a 3 or 4 member team, the iron man, the washerman, the delivery boy, and they are all going to be running your store. The problem is that while you can get delivery boys because Swiggy hai, Zomato hai, Pizza Hut hai, Domino's hai, so there are a lot of delivery boys in the market who are always looking for a job. It is very, very difficult to find iron man. And iron man is literally the iron man of our business. अगर iron man नहीं है तो ये laundry business चल नहीं सकता. So initially that was easy, but the moment we started franchising, we started expanding to different cities, we started struggling with finding iron men. So uske liye fir what we did was we set up a small school at one of our stores in Noida, where we started bringing untrained boys from Bihar, West Bengal, Odisha. उनको तब 3-4 हजार का स्टाइपेंड देते थे. एक हमने 3 BHK रेंट आउट किया हुआ था, सबको 15-16 लड़कों को उसमें रखते थे, उनको ट्रेन करते थे, फिर उनको डिफरेंट सिटीज में डिप्लॉय करते थे. So that's how we have solved the challenge of Iron Man. Till now, I don't know what is going to happen because fortunately for us, the growth is happening. So the more we grow, the more this challenge would come. Now the COVID is a different sort of a challenge where people want an assurance कि आप मेरे कपड़े अगर धोगे तो बिल्कुल सैनिटाइज तरीके से होने चाहिए, दूसरों के कपड़ों के साथ मिक्स मत करना. How will you protect me from COVID-19? How do we know that your team is not COVID positive? So uske liye we are doing a lot of social media messaging. We are inviting customers to come to our stores and see the processes that we are adopting so that it gives them the comfort level so that we are able to win their confidence. So different times have different challenges and they demand for a different remedial measures. So far, we have been able to solve most of the challenges, but I'm very sure that going forward, as we continue to grow in size, the challenges would become very, very different.
Okay, sir, the story was very inspirational. And also, as you talked about COVID, so my next question was that how was your business impacted by COVID-19 and how did you cope with it?
So see, when you're talking about a franchising company, the impact happens at 2 levels, right? One is what happens at the company level, the corporate level, which is where we are seated, which is where all the salaries are coming, the rentals for the offices are coming. There are so many supply chain and other expenses. The second is what happens at the store level. Because we are running more than 200 stores, so each of the stores is located in a different neighborhood. Each of the stores is in a different city, and each of the neighborhoods reacted very differently. So I'll give you a very, very simple example. One of my best performing stores is located in Hudson Lane in Delhi, which predominantly caters to the Delhi University crowd. So uska business बहुत अच्छा है because students don't have any facility for washing in their PG or in their hostels wherever they are living. तो वो बहुत ज्यादा numbers में आकर कपड़े देते हैं. They are clothes are washed, cleaned, and delivered to them. And very importantly, students are not very finicky. So they want a basic wash and dry hona chahiye, a basic wash and iron hona chahiye, and they're more than sorted. But because of COVID-19, all of a sudden the students disappeared. So this store in particular, for example, has been hit very, very badly. The sales went down by almost 80 to 90% because the customers were gone. On the other hand, there were some cities, some stores which are located in hardcore neighborhood areas, family areas like GK2 ho gaya, ya Vasant Kunj ho gaya, ya if you talk about Shalimar Bagh, if you talk about Rohini. So here we have stores that are located in residential areas. Residential areas, mein obviously there has been a challenge because people are afraid to move out. People are not very sure whether they should outsource the laundry or whether they should do at their home. So as a result of which sales dipped down. But what we realized was that across India, there was one common pattern that we saw, that there were a lot of new customers that were getting added. So whether it is Pune, whether it is Guwahati, whether it is Shillong, Jaipur, we were witnessing the same feedback that every store was noticing and reporting a lot of new customers getting added. So when we did a deeper dive, what we realized was that these were the customers that were before COVID outsourcing their laundry, but they were giving it to the local dhobi. और उसका reason क्या था कि either the pricing was better, or secondly, because if you look at the local dhobi business, it is very generational in nature. तो मतलब लोकल धोबी के ग्रैंडफादर मेरे ग्रैंडफादर को सर्विस करते थे, फिर उसका बेटा मुझे सर्विस करता है, मेरे बेटे को उसका बेटा सर्विस करेगा. So typically you will see that local dhobi almost builds a family relation with you. So even if UClean offers you better quality, it offers you better turnaround time, a lot of people did not want to break that relationship. But because of COVID, suddenly everything has gone on the back burner, and the only important factor is hygiene. अब हर कस्टमर को सिर्फ ये कंसर्न है कि मेरे कपड़े हाइजीनिक तरीके से धुल रहे हैं, नहीं धुल रहे हैं. Are they getting washed in a sanitized environment? Are they getting washed with the sanitized chemicals? Are they being mixed with the clothes of other customers or not? Is the dhobi accepting patients, COVID patient clothes or not? So these factors suddenly became very important. Now nobody cares about pricing, nobody cares about family relationship, and that is why we saw a mass migration happening from the local dhobi to a branded chain like UClean, and this is happening across India. So in that sense, a lot of stores have been able to recover very quickly because a lot of new customers are getting added.
Okay, so sir, how you see the world, like pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, from the point of business and new startups? So what will be the difference now?
See, honestly, post-pandemic in itself is a term that is very difficult to comment on, because no one knows ki post-pandemic kab hoga. Whether post-pandemic will become March or whether it will go up to June ya 2022 chala jayega, we have zero visibility into that. Yes. So what I have seen is that a lot of businesses that were focused on a physical interface are the ones that are suffering the most. So I'll give you the best example. One of the worst hit businesses in the pandemic, and which will continue to be so, is the preschool business. Because when we were growing up, preschools were not even required. I never went to a preschool because preschools didn't even exist when I was growing up. So preschool in that sense is not an essential education. If you go to US, you will see that a lot of kids actually do homeschooling even till higher secondary. So one business that is going to get really impacted is the preschool business, because parents would be very cautious about sending their very young kids to a strange premise where the kid would be talking to so many other kids, and nobody knows which kid could be a COVID carrier. So this is one business that is going to be very badly impacted. One business that I really think will never recover is the spa business, because spa means you're going to get into an intimate physical contact with someone else, and you never know if the guy who's giving you a massage, if that guy is carrying COVID virus or not. Salon industry, for example, you would have seen how Urban Clap, now known as Urban Company, has gained so much in the last 9 months, because now people don't want to go to the barber shop. They would rather want the barber to come to their home and do the haircut or the facial or whatever in a very nice and clean environment where they can trust the environment. So a lot of retail businesses, preschools, salons, to some extent gyms, your coaching centers, these are the ones that are going to be maximum impacted, and the benefit will go to the others. So for example, the biggest gainers in COVID-19 has been EdTech, because physical coaching centers have started closing down. They are not operating. Kids have all gone back to their hometowns. I'll give an example of a company called NeoStencil, which I'm an advisor. I'm a growth mentor and advisor to NeoStencil. And yesterday, NeoStencil got acquired by Unacademy. So Unacademy suddenly realized NeoStencil focuses on UPSC aspirants. And what we used to do was we aggregated coaching centers, UPSC coaching centers from Rajasthan, from Bihar, from Uttar Pradesh, and then brought them on one common platform. And then students sitting in any part of the country, sitting in Northeast, sitting in South, they could suddenly take coaching classes from any of these reputed faculties that are sitting in a city like Delhi or Kota, where you have the best possible faculty. And we had been running this business for the last 6 years. The kind of growth that we saw in the last 10 months was better than the growth of the last 3 years, because all the coaching center aspirants who used to come to areas like Karol Bagh and Rajendra Nagar in Delhi, they suddenly realized that they don't want to be here. They would rather sit at their home in Patna or Rourkela or Bhubaneswar and take online coaching. So suddenly we saw 1000% growth in the number of subscriptions that we were having on the NeoStencil platform. And Unacademy, which now is a unicorn, they realized the kind of growth NeoStencil was having. So we had multiple rounds of discussion, and finally Unacademy acquired NeoStencil yesterday. So I expect a lot of growth happening in the EdTech sector, a lot of growth happening in the health tech and the healthcare sector, and also a lot of consolidation. So bigger companies like Unacademy or Upgrad or Byju's acquiring the smaller technology-focused educational companies.
Yes, I think this will also impact migration of students, like they go to Kota for IIT tuition, and also I think now we cannot see that big amount of number in that people are migrating to Kota and other cities.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to Kota today, you will realize that the room rents, because a few of my classmates from IIT, they run coaching centers in Kota. They were telling me that they also had, as part of that wave, they'd also set up this PG business where they used to have 20-30 rooms and started renting out to the kids who used to come to Kota. The room rents of these rooms has fallen by more than 80%. So the same room that you used to get for 10,000 rupees about 10 months back, you're able to get that room for only 2,000 rupees. So that is the kind of impact that COVID has on education sector in particular.
Yes, sir. Okay. So, sir, my next question is pretty direct. That how did you acquire your first 1,000 customers?
So, like I said, laundry by nature is a very hyper local business. And you'll also have to understand that laundry by nature will always be a physical business where customers would prefer to have a physical store. Customers would be always uncomfortable to give it to a local dhobi who they cannot trace. They would always be uncomfortable to give it to an aggregator who they cannot trace. So people are always comfortable if they know where that particular store is located. And the reason for that is the value of the average ticket size in laundry business is about 300 rupees or 400 rupees. In 400 rupees, you're typically going to wash and iron about 20 pieces of clothes. So that is your ticket size. That is the service size. Now those 20 pieces of clothes, if you look at today's world, a typical shirt will cost you nothing less than 1,500 rupees. So the 20 pieces of garments that you have given to the laundry guy, while he's charging you only 400 rupees, the value of those 20 garments would be over 30,000 rupees. So there's a huge difference in the value of the service versus the value of the product being serviced. So you have garments worth 30,000, 40,000 rupees that you're typically giving to the laundry guy. he is washing it, ironing it, and giving it back to you for say 400 or 500 rupees. So customer wants that comfort level कि यार कल कुछ गड़बड़ हो गया तो मुझे पता होना चाहिए कि मेरे 40,000 रुपए के कपड़े मैंने दिए कहां पर. The moment I give it to a laundry, the local dhobi, or to an aggregator who does not have a storefront, then it becomes very difficult for me to trace it. So I'm always afraid कि मेरे 40,000 के कपड़े खराब ना हो जाएं. So that is something that is absolutely clear in the laundry business, that people want to have that comfort level of a store. So what we did was, wherever we opened up a new store, we focused a lot on hyper local marketing. And this hyper local marketing used to be a combination of digital marketing, so very pin code fake focused Google marketing, running Facebook ads, running Instagram ads on a very specific area, and then backing it up with newspaper inserts, pamphlets. If there is a society, then carry out a day-long activity in the market or in the housing society, where you educate people about the benefits of using a UClean and why they should ditch their local dhobi and come to a UClean. So the combination of these two marketings helped us get our first 1,000 customers. And honestly speaking, it is the same marketing strategy that also helped us get our next 5 lakh customers.
Okay, sir. So, sir, as every entrepreneur has that ultimate vision, so sir, where you see UClean 10 years down the line?
So see, overall, our vision is that we want to clean every inch of space that needs to be cleaned inside a household. So while we started UClean purely as a laundry and dry cleaning company, what we also realized very soon was that the same customer that is asking for a laundry or dry cleaning service at some point in time also requires a carpet cleaning service or a sofa cleaning service or a full home deep cleaning service. So what we did was, around the mid of last year, we partnered with a company called ChemDry, and ChemDry is the world's largest surface cleaning company. It's a 50-year-old brand, presence in more than 55 countries of the world. And they liked what UClean was doing. They came to us, they met our franchisees, they did a lot of due diligence, they met our customers, they garnered feedback. And then basis that, they thought that UClean is the right partner to introduce ChemDry into India. So around the mid of last year, we formed a joint venture with ChemDry, and we are now the official owners of ChemDry in India. And like I said, ChemDry is the largest surface cleaning company in the world. And when I say surface, it means your carpet, sofa, washroom, kitchen, table, chair, ceiling, everything is a surface. So now, through a combination of ChemDry and UClean, I can literally clean everything inside your home. चाहे वो आपका कारपेट गंदा हो, कपड़े गंदे हो, सोफा गंदा हो, घर गंदा हो, कार गंदी हो, whether your ceilings are dirty, your kitchens are dirty, we can clean it all. So idea is that we want to clean everything inside your home, and we want to be present in every possible neighborhood of India. So we want to have at least 5,000 stores in India in the next 10 years, and then also be present in some South Asian, African, and some SAARC countries. So we have already launched Nepal. We are in the process of launching Sri Lanka in the first quarter of 2021. And we're also launching Dhaka in first quarter of 2021.
Okay, sir. So we hope that you achieve it super soon.
Thank you.
And yes, sir. So, sir, my next question is that India is witnessing an increase in the level of education day by day. But at the same time, people are also realizing the importance of self-education. So what's your say in this, institutional education versus self-education?
So I think self-education is one of the best things that could have happened to India. And the reason for that is, regardless of how good a college or university you go to, there are only certain subjects that you would be offered, right? Depending, if I'm in metallurgy, I would only be taught certain subjects. While I will have the option to opt for 2 or 3 subjects maybe, but not more than that. And obviously there is a time crunch. So there's only so much that I can study at any given point in time. But going forward, there are a lot of other things that I might want to know about, or I might want to learn about, for which I don't want to go back to the university, or I don't want to go back to a formal college. So as an example, my wife is a big aficionado when it comes to marketing, but she doesn't have the time or the liberty to go back to the university or go back to a proper college and read about new courses. So she keeps reading up a lot. She buys a lot of books. She also subscribes to short-term courses on platforms like Udemy and Upgrad. And I have seen how much it has benefited her and how much she enjoys it. So I think uh, education anyway it's a continuous process. You cannot ever say that I'm completely educated today and I know everything in the world that needs to be known. So I feel that uh, these alternative education platforms actually allow you to pick and choose courses, customized courses, much better than what your formalized universities can.
Yes, and institutional education is one time, and I think self-education is an ongoing process.
Correct.
Yes, sir. So, sir, what would be your advice for a fresher who wants to build a business in the future according to your experience?
So, see, there are multiple things. Obviously, I have also learned, I can also talk about a lot of things. But I think the first and foremost thing is that never do a startup for the sake of doing a startup. And I see
Okay.
this is happening a lot also with youngsters getting influenced by their seniors or getting influenced by the
Yes.
stories of Vijay Shekhar Sharma or Ritesh Agarwal, and everybody feels that he can also build an Oyo or he can also build a Paytm. But honestly, uh, what it is only the surface. So while they may be getting a lot of popularity, they may be getting a lot of news bites, and that all looks good, but there is also a lot happening in the back which you do not know, I do not know. So they
Mm.
also have their own struggles which continue to happen. They also have challenges on a daily basis. So my only advice is that while it looks very interesting to write founder on LinkedIn or to write evangelist or an ideator on LinkedIn, but these things, while they look good on LinkedIn, but they don't carry much value, because if you look at LinkedIn today, almost every third person or fourth person is a
Is
founder.
a
Every
founder,
fifth
yes, sir.
person is an ideator, evangelist. So there are very nice terms that people have started throwing around, but don't get brainwashed by those. At the end of the day, only do a startup if you really want to do a startup. If you are willing to really forego income, forego salaries for an uncertainly long time. So that time could be you might not earn anything for 6 months, you might not earn anything for 6 years. So you have to be really
Okay.
prepared that your salaries would go down the drain, your personal life can get impacted. If you are really passionate about doing your startup, if you are really convinced about your idea, and if you're really convinced about the market potential of your idea, then and only then do a startup. Don't do a startup because
Okay,
the
sir.
idea बहुत यूनिक है. पता चला idea बहुत यूनिक है लेकिन market exist ही नहीं करता है. I have seen a lot of people
Yes, yes,
get
that.
into startups with very unique ideas without any understanding of whether the market exists for that idea or not. So be very sure that the market exists for that idea. The market is not overpopulated. Plus, you have to be there for the long haul. नहीं तो आप 6 महीने काम करोगे, 12 महीने काम करोगे,
Yes, sir.
10-15 लाख कमाओगे, and you will not also learn anything. You will not do anything. So don't do startup. There are some very good jobs also out there in the market, and many of my classmates are doing some really fantastic jobs at small companies as well as big companies, and they're really enjoying their lives. So choose very wisely. If you really want to get into a startup, make sure that you're getting into it for the long haul.
Okay, sir. That was quite insightful. And my last question from this question and answer round is that what are the top five skills to be a good entrepreneur? What do you think?
Okay. So first, obviously, something that I've been talking about is you need to have a lot of patience. Startups would test you in so many different ways. Uh, your team will desert you, your co-founder might desert you, your family might not be happy with your decision. So one is that you need to be really, really patient about execution. So don't expect
Yes,
that
sir.
मुझे idea आ गया मैंने आज execute कर दिया and tomorrow I'll start making truckloads of money. Yeah, tomorrow I'll raise
Yes, sir.
investment from Sequoia Capital. So one, you will have to be very patient. Second, you will have to be very resilient, especially in the wake of COVID-19. Resilience is one skill set that has become very, very important. You need to show a lot of resilience because a lot of things will not go your way. In COVID-19, literally nothing went in our way for the first 6 months. all the stores were closed down. Nobody wanted to sign a franchisee. No franchisee was willing to pay royalty. Customers were not willing to give out their clothes. So literally our business went down to zero. And it was only the resilience of the entire team that we are able to see through that difficult period. And honestly, it will be the resilience of the team only which will ensure whether we survive 2021 or not. So patience, resilience. Third would be you have to be a multitasker. And when I say multitasking, multitasking is also about multi relationship management, because you will also have to manage your family who will demand your time. You will have to manage your friends who will demand your time. You will have to manage your uh, colleagues, your teammates who will demand your time, and your job itself will demand a lot of time. So you need to have those multi relationship management skill, call it multitasking or call it whatever, but you need to have oodles of that skill set, and you should not get bogged down by such difficult situations. Fourth would be willingness to sell. You cannot be an entrepreneur if you cannot sell. If you're not someone who cannot sell, if you're an introvert, then you might not work well in a startup. So better look for co-founders who can sell. And fifth is the ability to, I would say, attract the right energies, attract the right people, ability to build a team, ability to ensure that the team sticks around with you, ability to attract and convince investors to bet on you, to invest on you. So these five would be the key skill sets I would say you need.
Okay, sir. So, sir, that was it from our question and answer round. And let me tell you, sir, it was very interesting as well as inspiring your stories. So, thank you so much, sir. And, sir, now can we switch to rapid fire round?
Okay, sure.
Sure. So, in this, I will ask you some quick questions and you have to answer that.
Okay.
Okay. So, sir, my first question is that what it takes to be an entrepreneur in one word?
Resilience.
Okay. Biggest struggle of an entrepreneur?
Money.
Okay. Your biggest inspiration?
My biggest inspiration, Rahul Dravid.
Okay. Cricketer, entrepreneur, I didn't understand.
So Rahul Dravid, because of the kind of grit, resilience, and determination.
Oh, okay. Got it now. What will you prefer, learning through books or videos?
Books.
Okay. One thing that you thought really mattered but turned out to be insignificant in the long run.
I would say PR and news.
Okay. A web series you will recommend to everyone.
I would say web series. There are a lot of really good ones that came up.
Okay, you can say multiple too.
One would be Upstarts, and the second one would be absolutely not. One could be the movie, the Founder movie. It is a fantastic movie which is based on the founder of McDonald's. That is a fantastic movie that I would recommend. Web series totally off the startup scene is a web series that I've been recently watching called 6 Foot Under.
Oh, okay, sir. So best motivational quote you read and you feel inspiring.
I think there are quite a few, but this one holds a lot of relevance for me, especially in today's time, is that always hope for the best, but be mentally prepared for the worst.
Okay, sir. And what will you prefer, working early morning or working till late night?
Late night.
Okay, so you are more of a night person.
Well, actually, I work till very late in the night, and then I get up very early because I have a very young daughter who does.
Okay. Okay. And so, happiness for you in one word.
Happiness for me in one word. I think having the people you love around you.
Okay. So, one song you hear to charge yourself.
Charge myself.
Yes, sir.
One
Any
song.
songs? Yes, sir.
Charge myself. I love Coldplay, but
Okay.
obviously they are not inspiring. They're very nice.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't really listen to songs to charge myself up.
Oh, okay, sir, no problem. So, sir, that was it from Rapid Fire Round. And, sir, thank you so much for your time. It was very insightful and gave us all understanding of different aspects of not only this business, but also about business and startups in general. So, sir, thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, Amal. Thank you so much to the entire entrepreneurship of Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I really loved the rapid fire part of it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.